Firstly, I just want to, we might start with Deb and we'll just go down the line, give me a 2-minute synopsis of what your job entails. But satisfying the Gen Y hunger, I also want to know, do you know what the social media platform TikTok is? And do you have one yourself? Start with you, Deb. Go.
Hi. So I do know what TikTok is. I don't have an account myself, but I'm well aware of what it is. In terms of a synopsis of what I do in the day-to-day, I'm relatively new to Rollie. I came on at Rollie about 6 months ago. And Rollie, like a lot of people in this room, have been on a bit of a startup journey. Is this on? Can you hear? Yeah. It is on. Rollie has been on a bit of a startup journey, and they've now been around for 8 years, so they're more established. But Rollie got to where it's gotten to largely off the strength of a really great product. The shoes are super comfortable, they're super fun. Everyone that wears them just loves them. But you can, a great product gets you to a certain point, and then to unlock that next phase of growth, you need to adopt a bit more of a strategic approach to how you go to market. So I suppose that was the reason for me coming on board at Rollie in a head of marketing capacity to look at how we now go to that next scale on their journey. So I suppose a synopsis of what I do at the moment is we're really kind of looking at the brand as a whole and really unpicking Rollie's brand DNA and what we stand for beyond just great, comfortable, colourful shoes, which is really quite product feature focused, so that we can really start to resonate more strongly with people and start to really control our narrative as we move into that next phase.
Great. Surin?
Sure. So I definitely don't have TikTok. I'm not so cool, but I did download it. I've been in plenty of TikTok videos, particularly at the Australian Open, so we're a major sponsor of the Open as well. And then our marketing team are way too cool for me. So I have downloaded. I am on the platform. I probably got about 4 people that follow me, which will be Mastercard teams. A little bit about me. So I run kind of probably our most exciting part of the Mastercard business, which is really all our digital product business. So all the experiences that Dom and I will probably talk to you a little bit about, which includes everything around augmented reality, virtual reality. If you've used Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay, Fitbit, Garmin, they're all experiences that we enable within my team. The second part of the business that I run is actually all our key relationships and partnerships. That includes relationships with all the neobanks and the digital banks, all the marketplaces and all the fintechs as well. And so we also run our VC as well, which is called StartPath. So looking forward to a really interesting conversation, and hopefully I'll get a word in because I've been speaking with Dom before, and he slightly dominates the panel.
I'm on my best behaviour. So I'm Dom. I'm one of the co-founders of Up. We've been in market for just over a year. We acquire between sort of maybe 500 and 1,000, sometimes more than 1,000 customers a day. So it's going reasonably well. We're the second fastest growing bank in Australia, behind the Commonwealth Bank. So we're doing okay for being, I guess, a year old. But it's one of those stories that is, my company's 10 years old. so we've been doing banking for 8 years, and we've been building up for probably nearly 3 years now. So it's sort of like a 8-year overnight success type thing. So I guess where I'm coming from as co-founder of the business, when we started, we were just 2 people and had to do everything from sweeping the floors, cleaning the toilets, writing code. Like everything has to be done by just the original people. But over time, we've grown. We're just over 50 people now. We never wanted to be more than 30 people. That was our goal. But we're just over 50. Acquiring customers and delivering awesome customer experiences is sort of what our job is. Also, it's a very competitive market. Like everyone in Australia already has 3 bank accounts. So for us, on average, right? So then for us to enter into a completely established, solved market is a very different challenge. I imagine it's like that for Rollie, because everyone wears shoes. So if you're getting haircuts or you're doing funerals or things that everybody ends up needing, then obviously it's a it's very competitive, and I think that's some sort of aspect that we might cover. In terms of TikTok, we have uppers on TikTok, and I'm not personally. I mean, my kids are. For me, it's about our customers loving what we're doing and building great content. And then, some of them use TikTok, some of them use Snapchat, some of them use Instagram, whatever. That doesn't matter too much to me. What matters is that we jump on those platforms and engage with them. So everybody in the business, from the founders through to the head of departments and even the devs, everybody jumps on to Twitter, to Facebook, to Snapchat, to Instagram, and actually talks to our customers. I think that's important.
So that's actually a great place to start. I'm interested to hear what you all think around engaging with customers on those platforms. The panel's called the Gen Y Hunger. How important is it to be on those platforms and engaging with them and sort of giving them the content that they want, where they want it, when they want it?
Can I kick off?
Sure.
Yeah. So we get.
I told you this would happen.
So we deal with our customers mostly through chat. So we built our own custom chat tool, and we try to promote customers to come talk to us on that. We get thousands of messages a day on that, and at the same time, we get customers coming through email, on the telephone. Nobody sends us a fax anymore, but we get people on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook Messenger, Twitter, like everything. And so for us, it's about how do you then engage with the customer on their terms. It's no good us saying, hey, we've got this great chat tool, why don't you use it? Like, people do love it and they do use it, but for example, I spend a lot of my downtime throughout the day just responding to customers on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and I'm not alone. Like, there's probably 20 of us in the office that jump on these social media platforms to respond. So it's not really about how we engage with those platforms. It's about how do we engage with our customers who are already using those platforms. And I think that's a slight distinction, but that for us, it's been absolutely critical, because in what other bank in Australia? I'm the co-founder, but I'm like we don't have a CEO, right? So I'm like this kind of quasi CEO. So what other bank in Australia or anywhere in the world can you talk to the CEO on Twitter or Snapchat? It's very unusual, but I think that's created a really good connection and engagement with our customers.
Yeah, I'll probably add to that. I think some of the challenges, unlike Dom's business, for us at Mastercard, or opportunities I could say, is that we're really considered a B2B business, a B2B2C business through kind of key partnerships that we have with banks and digital platforms as well. And then we also have a B2C element as well, right? And if I kind of stem through or kind of give you a couple of examples of how we work. So a B2B partnership would be something that we would work with Victorian government for example, or an engagement where we wouldn't have an end consumer in sight. So a lot of users that use the App Store, for example, we sit as the fraud engine behind the App Store. For those of you that have used open loop technology, where you just tap your phone or your mobile around New South Wales government, so on a ferry, a light rail, a bus, that's all our technology and our capability. We're talking about neobanks, but if you've used like ANZ or CBA or Westpac's loyalty platforms, they're all actually underpinned by our capability and our technology. And so it becomes quite challenging sometimes, because when you talk about marketing or directly kind of engaging with a consumer, we are very much a B2B brand. On the B2B2C side, we engage in a number of different ways. So you might have seen the big announcement that we made with Goldman Sachs last year with the Apple Card. That is an example of us bringing technology and capability together with Goldman's to launch the Apple Card. But locally, we have a huge amount of partnerships. Up's a huge partner of ours, and they drive a lot of our digital innovation first to market. People like Uber, Spotify, Ticketek are all kind of key partners, and we work with them in a variety of different ways. And then we've got the B2C element, and that becomes quite challenging for us to really kind of engage. Like, you don't wake up, millennial or not, kind of going, I want to use my Mastercard today. Right, you kind of don't wake up and go, I'm going to get a Mastercard, right? And so the challenge that, and we see it as a huge opportunity, is how do we actually make consumers really feel that they want to use their Mastercard? How do we make sure that they become, in our kind of terminology, front of wallet, right? And so we use that through brand platforms. We use it through partnerships with Amazon and eBay. We use that through partnerships with people like Uber. And what we're really trying to do is create really seamless capabilities and technologies, so that a consumer uses our capability or our technology and doesn't even actually know. But some of the fun things that we do, I know Dom's going to step in again, but some of the fun things that we did is, for example, last 2 weeks at the AO, if a consumer was using their Mastercard, we'd give them a priceless experience. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. We have a brand platform that was created in '97 that is really around experiences matter more than things. Kind of a lot of things happened in '97. Steve Jobs came back, Biggie died. See, I'm kind of cool, right? The third beast thing is Princess Diana. Biggie died, Princess Diana died, and so you kind of had all these kind of monumental moments in '97. But we also launched our brand platform, and really through that brand platform, it was our consumer activation piece where you can have a priceless experience. You can actually play on the Rod Laver court, and you can get experiences that money can't buy. Right, and so that's kind of the three different areas between kind of B2B, B2C, and then B2C that we do as well.
Just 10 seconds. I just wanted to say that Up was the first bank in Australia to do instant issuance of Apple Pay, and then we did it also worked for about a year with Mastercard and others to be the first to do instant issuance for Google Pay, and now we're the first to have it for Samsung Pay. We did all that with Mastercard, right? So Mastercard's sort of behind the scenes enabling that. And you said people don't want to get up in the morning and say, hey, I want to use my Mastercard. But actually, we've got a thing running at the moment where people get up in the morning and buy a coffee, and it's on Up. It's like we call it Perk Up. And so we've got thousands of people across Australia who are buying coffee, and then we pay for it. They're only able to be accepted at all the terminals and everything because of Mastercard, right? So I think Mastercard is there in the background, having a direct impact on our brand.
Sorry, just the instant issuance piece. I know that everyone doesn't use that terminology every day. So basically, what Dom's saying is that you can set up an Up account, or you could set up other accounts with other banks as well, and you can basically set up an account and then use it at Apple Pay within about 60 seconds. That's kind of the experience that we're talking about, where traditionally you'd set up an account, you'd wait for the card to come in the mail in 3 to 5 days, and you'd have to call someone up, try and activate it, figure out what your PIN is, change the PIN, the whole thing doesn't work, and then I don't even carry a wallet anymore, I just carry my mobile, right? So the experience that kind of Dom's talking about is kind of going from a start of an application to basically being able to use your card potentially in that store within about 60 seconds.
And Deb, the first way that I was introduced to the Rollie brand was on Instagram. So how do you guys think about your social media play on Instagram or on those platforms in order to engage with that audience?
Sure. I really liked what Dom said about it's not about how do we play on social media, but it's how do we connect with our customers who are on social media. I think that's a really important distinction to remember. So I suppose at Rollie, what I'm trying to get the team to do is think about the entire customer journey and the entire ecosystem in which our brand exists. Yes, we have Instagram. Yes, we have Facebook. We do organic posting. We do paid ads. We do all of that sort of stuff. But I think you need to think about how do people come to discover your brand. So for us, a big part of how a lot of people come to discover our brand is not on social media. They might come across it in a high street shop that they think is really cool. It's got beautiful homewares, cool designer pieces, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a pair of Rollie shoes in there. And they go, wow, this shop is so cool. These shoes are in this shop, therefore these shoes must be cool. Right? That's how a lot of people discover Rollie, and then they might not buy them. They might just like the shoes, and then they might go and look it up on social media and go, "What's this brand about? I've seen the shoes, but what's the lifestyle that surrounds the brand?" And that's so for us, from a social media standpoint, there's a few really crucial parts of why social media is important to us. So one is around it's a really cost-effective way of expanding your brand storytelling. Where you can really, constantly be putting out content that really helps shape what the whole lifestyle and environment is of the person that lives the Rollie lifestyle. So that's super compelling, right? And that's there for when people discover your brand, whether it's through a paid ad on social or word of mouth that someone's told them about it or they've seen it in a shop. It helps them get a more accurate picture of everything that the brand stands for. So that's, I suppose, point one. The other reason why we find social so crucial to what we do is it's a really fantastic customer service tool. So similar to what Dom was talking about in terms of, that's where the audience is, and when they need help, that's where they want the help. That's where we provide it. So one of the early changes I made when I first came on board is I took community management away from an agency that was managing it and gave it to our customer experience staff. because I think, community management to me is not just replying to every comment someone makes on social media with a love heart emoji or the hands emoji going up, which doesn't actually do anything other than tell the person who made the comment, we've seen it. But, having our customer experience team reviewing those comments for people going, I love those shoes, where can I buy them, I want to try them on, all of that sort of stuff. I think that's where you start to have really meaningful two-way conversations with your customers, rather than just focusing on really arbitrary measures like clicks, engagements, likes, which, A, doesn't necessarily translate to sales, and B, isn't necessarily adding any value from a brand storytelling perspective or from a customer experience perspective.
That's interesting. One of the things that you talked about there being around the way that a customer finds you might not be through your own channels, it might be through partner channels. I'm interested, and you've all sort of touched on the idea of partnerships that you have with other brands in order to get reach a different audience or broaden your audience. Can you all talk me through a little bit about that strategy and how important that is in continuing to engage with this demographic?
Yeah, sure. So I might just say, like, we have a whole bunch of partners for Up, but we've been very selective in the way that we've partnered. So like if I mention some of the brands that we've partnered with, Bendigo Bank, most trusted bank brand and third most trusted brand in Australia, really important to us. Give back a lot to the community. Hundreds of millions of dollars, operate in 500 different locations across Australia nationally. So there's a lot of reasons why that partnership's really important. Mastercard, obviously critical. We've talked a bit about that, and I'll let you guys talk about it as well. The next partners for us were Google. So we're the first cloud-hosted bank on Google in the world. We're the first retail cloud-hosted bank in Australia. So to do that with Google is the largest acquirer of renewable energy in the world. We run our data centers with Google. They also have the best security. But there's really good reasons why we choose those type of partners. And it's not for marketing or for winning new customers necessarily. It's to strengthen our values and to demonstrate that we're aligned with those particular brands. And so the next cabs off the rank for us were Afterpay. And the reason we partnered with them was to help with financial literacy, because people have an opinion on whether Afterpay is good or bad. I don't have an opinion on that. I just know that there are 5 million people using Afterpay and they're all our customers. How do we help them do it better? And then our next partner for us was TransferWise. And TransferWise is the largest and fastest growing fintech in Europe. And we were the first bank to partner with them in Asia Pacific. And what they do is they help people transfer money internationally, instantly, 10 times less than a bank. Like, why wouldn't our customers want that? So for us, it's about aligning with partners for brand, for values, and if there's an ethical alignment with those brands, then it helps us to develop the relationship with the customer, and we can use those particular channels. I just want to add one more thing to social, and I'll let you guys go. But with social, we found that we tried some experiments to sort of how do you reach an audience in a big way. Like, we're growing a new brand, so we did some catch-up TV, we did some radio, we did some podcasts, we did some cinema, we did some billboards, we did some bus stops, we did some whatever, and we had like a $10,000 budget for each thing because we have no money. Like, we've raised no venture capital, so we're self-funded. So we were just doing like little experiments, and then we did a little experiment, inverted commas, a little experiment on Facebook, and we hit 2.4 million people. Now, when we got the reports back from our billboard at Flinders Street, we hit, 100,000 people. Like, it's a very different medium to be able to use digital as a tool to engage with customers.
Yeah, and the interactivity of it as well, and the fact that you can provide video content and all that sort of stuff. It's certainly a very rich storytelling medium. My main watch out from a social perspective is that often, like, the excitement of like being able to do all these things, you kind of get carried away and you waste a lot of time without really understanding what's the key thing that you need to achieve out of it, as opposed to we just need likes, we just need engagement, we just need clicks. Like Sarah was speaking about, someone was saying to me, well, we just need to be doing this because the more engagement we get, the more reach we get. And my challenge to them is what are we reaching them with? Like, you're not reaching them with anything that's engaging. You're not reaching them with anything that's telling the story that we want it to tell. It's just reach. And so I think for me, it's the balance of the two. Like, and that's part of what we're doing at Rollie now in re-examining our brand DNA, is really developing really compelling content going forward that engages with people at an emotional level, rather than just going, these shoes are bright pink, yay, you know? And yeah, so that would be.
I think the personality of the team comes across in the brand as well. Like so for us, a lot of the engagement, regardless of channel, is communicating who we are and why we care. Like I said, banking is a solved problem. We don't need more banks, but we're getting lots of more banks, and they're all like, all the neobanks are coming, and all the big banks are launching new brands and new products and everything. And why is that happening? It's happening because people are demanding something more, and what we're doing is listening. And so we're hearing what people want, and then we're delivering that. And so part of our personality, the people in the business, is coming through in our brand. And when we have those conversations with people, whether they be through support, whether they be through traditional media, whether they be through social media, the conversation threads that we're having and the way that we're communicating with our customers actually helps develop who we are. Because a year ago, nobody would know the Up brand. Now people see it and they say, oh, that's cool, or that's awesome, or I want to be part of that, or whatever. The question I guess this panel's trying to answer is why.
And I think that's an interesting thing that all of you, or I've spoken to you about before, is did any of you actually build a brand to target millennials? And did you do it to go after Gen Y or
No.
Gen Z? Or how did it?
No.
So what comes first? It's interesting to sort of have that conversation.
A quality product, passion, care, honesty, transparency. Like these are the things that people care about. I'm sure people in the audience care about it. Certainly our customers care about it. So for us, it's like, how do we build the best goddamn bank ever in the world? And then people start telling their mates. So for us, nearly 50% of our entire customer growth costs us nothing. It's just word of mouth. Nearly 50%. Why? Because we keep delivering amazing stuff. And so for us, it's about, can you deliver something amazing? Now, as it happens, we are a mobile-only bank, right? So people who are tech-savvy, which typically skews to a younger audience. So our largest age group of customers is 20. And for the last year, it's been 19, but they're probably 1 year older now. That's why it's 20. But the question, the question is, did we target them specifically? And the answer is no. We don't go out and say, let's target a female demographic in these suburbs with this age group. Well, that's just rubbish. What we do is we go, how do we build the best goddamn banking product ever? Make it awesome, engage with our customers, listen to our customers, and deliver on our promises, and then they just love it. And so it happens that they skew to a younger audience.
From our perspective, we also have to, we kind of have a challenge where we look at it and say, we listen to what customers are really demanding, but then we have to also foresee new technologies. And I'd probably say, from Dom's perspective, we look at partnerships in a couple of different ways. We look at it as partnerships, we look at it as sponsorships, and then we look at it technology as well. And if I can kind of run through the three different ways that we would see it. We talked a little bit about our partnerships with Apple and Up and Uber. You talked a little bit about TransferWise. TransferWise leverages our technology and also leverages the Mastercard network in the local market. You talked a bit about Afterpay. Afterpay did a strategic agreement with us and eBay that you might have seen in their last annual report, and you'll start to see some of those experiences come to life very early this year. And so when I think about partnership, we don't necessarily say, oh, we're just going after a millennial. We'll chase, we'll look at a partner that has 5 million active consumers, and a large proportion of those are millennials, and we'll say, how can we actually add value, right? The second piece is around sponsorship. So we have over 100 sponsorship assets globally, and we'll use and leverage them in so many different ways. We'll use them from a hosting perspective. We'll use them from a B2B2C perspective. So Uber, for example, you could jump in last year and do a short video and win tickets to the Grammys. You could have all different type of experiences with all different type of businesses. Westfield worked with us this year. The Iconic worked with us around providing priceless experiences. And so we leverage sponsorships in that way. We also look at what are the new kind of what are the passion points that we're really trying to solve for in sponsorships as well, and how do we communicate? So they're things like culinary, sporting, entertainment. And over at least the last 18 months, we've been spending a lot of time in gaming, and particularly around esports as well. So we have a global sponsorship now with League of Legends. Again, I am not on the League of Legends platform, just for transparency, in case there's a crazy gamer that asks me about what level I'm on after this. But these are different ways that we really engage, right? And then the last piece is around technology. And so when we talk about engagement, we talk about platforms. We talk about social, we talk about how do we actually, incorporate a real millennial experience. For us, it's around just what is the next technology experience that potentially is going to come through. So one experience is like, now 1 in 4 transactions happens on a mobile device. We don't really think about that. You don't, as a consumer, you don't really think about it. You just you just make a payment, right? And so the thought leadership that we need to take now, and I kind of spend a large amount of my time between kind of San Jose, San Francisco, and New York, is around looking at what are the new technologies kind of coming through, and then how do we actually incorporate that, right? So parts of that, what are we going to incorporate into sensors? What's the connected home look like? What's the connected car look like? What is, how does drone delivery change an experience at home? Do you have to open up a roof? The drone gets delivered. If any of you have been through the Amazon Go experience, we have very similar machine learning capabilities where you'd walk into a store, you'd grab whatever you want, and you just walk out, right? And that's kind of, and we think about that as the future of retail as well. So for us, it's really partnerships, it's sponsorship, and it's technology. And that technology is really then the new way consumers will interact with our brand or our brand through another brand as well.
We're a technology company. That's the big difference too. We're not a bank. We're a technology company solving banking problems.
The question was around, do we target millennials? Yeah.
Yeah.
So does anyone follow the Fat Jewish on Instagram here?
Yes.
All right. So did anyone see that post a few days ago about this is what a 50-year-old looked like in the 80s and this is what a 50-year-old looked like? Yeah.
J-Lo brought it to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
She knew.
So for those that haven't seen it, there was like a photo of Blanche from the Golden Girls saying this is what a 50-year-old was like in the 80s, and then next to it was like Jennifer Lopez doing some random aerial like ridiculousness at the Super Bowl, and she's 50 as well. The reason I bring that up is I think that post highlights really strongly the inherent flaws in demographic segmentation. Like genuinely, because I think like to say like what is a 50-year-old woman, I mean Jennifer Lopez is a little bit out of the box, but I think like demographic segmentations to me kind of get you so far. At Rollie, we actually adopt much more of a psychographic segmentation around people that are adventurous, creative, curious about the world, artistic, all those things that make up the way the lens through which people view the world. Naturally, when you're young, fresh-faced and not worn down by the responsibilities of life, young people are typically all of those things, so there is a natural skew to that, but it's not at the exclusion of that. So I think from a Rollie perspective, that's kind of our core audience, and we've worked towards building a brand and a product, and we're continuing to work towards building a brand and a product that meets the needs of those people. So I kind of feel it's a bit of a two-pronged strategy where, like to Dom's point about, a seamless customer experience, like particularly for millennials, they've always grown up around technology, like, the stuff that's, like they're used to having things immediately at their fingertips, not having to wait for something. I had to wait for like my year 12 results to come in the mail, all of that sort of stuff. So I think for us at Rollie, obviously like speed, immediacy, making the whole customer experience effortless is a real focus of ours. Like we offer free express shipping on all orders. When we did a collab in October with Sage and Claire, the collab, one shoe sold out in 15 minutes, the next shoe sold out in 30 minutes, and then the last style I think was gone by day 3. But we had people on Instagram, someone actually posted, I'm in Darwin, I ordered these yesterday morning and I got them before lunchtime today. And all those things really add value from a customer journey perspective of going, it is an amazing experience and I'm going to tell everyone about it because it was such an amazing experience, everything from the product to the service. The other prong of that strategy though is that, that storytelling piece of how do you win hearts and minds, because, a great experience, I think you have to do both. Like, you can really have a beautifully crafted brand purpose and vision statement and values and all of that, but then you'll lose people because it's just too hard to acquire your product. And then you can not have any of that and just have an amazing customer experience, and that will be great for a period of time until lots of other people start to lift their game on a customer experience perspective. So I think for me, it's important to have the balance of both. in what you do.
I was just going to say, I agree entirely with that. I call it the excellence of everything. And you have to have all those different things nailed. I'm actually doing a keynote on Thursday about that sort of stuff. So if anyone's interested in more, we won't have
Shameless
time.
plug.
Yeah, we won't have time to cover it all on the panel today, but we are going to go into a bit more detail on Thursday.
I think that's an interesting thing, though, that a lot of you have spoken about values, and definitely we've seen, or we're told, but we've also seen that this demographic is possibly a demographic that cares about values, and even just more, I think society in general is starting to want to put their hard-earned money behind products and services that also care about the things that they believe in. So how important is that prong? Like, how important is, providing incredible technology and a seamless customer experience, but also being a brand that possibly stands for something?
I think it's so important that the businesses that don't care about it won't be here in a few years.
Yeah, I think values, like, sometimes, people just go, oh, values is a bit of, ooh, let's all get in the room and sing Kumbaya and all of that sort of stuff. To me, values are just integral. And it's not just about going, oh, we're going to be a nice place to work. And being a nice place to work is absolutely important because the people make the business. But the values help drive how you innovate, where you move to next. And then there's also just that other element of going, well, just as people, how do we, sleep at night? How do we make sure that what we're doing is not causing harm to the planet? And I think, as we move further into the future, that's going to become more and more important from an employment perspective as well, in terms of recruiting the right people, the people that are aligned to the company values. How do you keep your staff motivated at work and engaged with what they're doing? So, from our perspective, if someone just comes to work and says, I'm at a shoe company and we just sell shoes, that's the worst possible answer for me. Like, where we need to get to is, what we're here to do. We're here to lift people up. We're here to, create, that feeling that you can go anywhere, do anything, feel amazing when you wear your shoes.
On the value side for us, it's really around trust, right? I mean, when you think about what our company represents, we're really, we have a trust promise to yourselves. And if you think about how in over 200 countries a transaction can happen in a couple of milliseconds, basically we're really making sure that when you have an experience and you're standing in front of the cash register in New York at Macy's, that transaction goes through and that goes through successfully, right? So I think for us it's trust is such an important part, but it's actually how we really think about how we build our capabilities and our technologies as well. And I know I come from a slightly different perspective than these two, but it's around technology as design, privacy as design as well. Dom and I were kind of talking about some new capabilities that we're bringing into Up as well, but it was all around customers being in control, right? So being in control of your data, being in control of like where you got your cards saved, for example. And if I can just give you, if I can do a shameless plug actually around some of the stuff that we're doing, but just around kind of control and security, one of the things that like bugs me is that I actually don't know where all my cards are saved. Between kind of Netflix, Stan, Spotify, Telstra, Fitness First, never gets used, and a few other ones, right? And a couple other ones that just keep hitting my card. I actually don't know where my card's saved. So one of the things that we try to do is try and design products that, at the end of the day, and by the end of the year, you guys will see that in all your experiences in Australia, that you'll actually be able to see where all your cards are saved. And the second piece that you'll have control on is if you want to turn those cards on and off, between if you want to switch the Iconic off, or you want to say to Amazon, I only want to spend $500, you have control as well, right? And the third piece is around around kind of what we call life cycle management. So when your cards are actually stolen or lost or it's expired, it automatically then gets updated as well. So when we talk about values, we think about what is the consumer experience. Are they trusting in our brand and in our partner's brand? And then also, how convenient is it? Because the convenience around just being able to see where all your cards are saved, switch them on and off between each retailer, and then if you lose your card, for it to all seamlessly work in the background. I kind of think that some of that is like the plumbing, and it's kind of a bit like electricity. You kind of don't really think about how these things work. But unfortunately, I'm running 52 projects in my team to make this happen by the end of the year for you guys, right? So that hopefully kind of gives you a bit of an idea of kind of how we think about like integrity and trust, because, we're processing billions of transactions a day and we have to make sure that they're successful, they work, but then also you guys have enough faith in our brand that these transactions are successful as well.
We actually try not to talk about it too much, and I think that people see through the bullshit, like people see through crap and people talking. What we try to do is just live it. If you live it, then you're judged by your actions, and being judged by your actions is more authentic than going out and saying, we stand for this, or we do this, or we do that. Actually, forget about that. Just actually do it, make it happen, and then be judged by your actions, I think, is probably more of our motto.
It's interesting that you've spoken about the importance of values, but also you all spoke about the importance of trust. And we're talking about a demographic that, Dom, if you're wanting these 19 and 20-year-olds to be banking with up at 70 and 80, how do you guys think about that customer sort of life cycle with your brands, and how do you try to make sure that you're keeping them engaged?
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one for us because we never, as we said before, we never set out to target a young audience. We just set out to build excellence, and then a young audience have resonated towards it. But we imagine that we're building a bank that would be here in 100 years. Like, we're building something in perpetuity. To date, we've raised no venture capital. We're self-funded. We have to build a sustainable, profitable business. And so we look at it kind of with a 100-year plan, and we say, okay, well, in the next 10 years, how many of our customers are going to grow up and are going to want a credit card, or going to grow up and going to want a car loan? Or in 20 years from now, how many of them are going to want a house? How many need insurance? How many need superannuation, wealth management, share trading, all these different things that relate to their financial services. So the way that we've reconciled that for ourselves is said, if we create like a 10, 20, 50-year sort of plan that we can sort of be here in, and we want to be the number one bank for under 35s in Australia. The current number one bank for under 35s in Australia is Commonwealth Bank. They're number one in nearly every segment. They have a 39% market share. They have 1.86 million customers in the under 35s. Therefore, we, Up, who today have a couple of 100,000 customers, we need to have 2 million customers in the next 10 years or whatever in order for us to be number one for under 35s in Australia. So all of those under 35s are then going to be under 45s and under 55s. And so we have to be thinking about how do we build a profitable, sustainable and enduring business, not just how do we sort of win customer deposits today, for argument's sake.
I mean, I think it gets back to that whole psychographic segmentation point of, you need to be appealing to the millennial audience. Oh, did you want to
keep
start?
talking, it's okay.
Oh, okay. You need to be appealing to a millennial audience because you need to keep feeding the pipeline of people coming through. But, to just be focused on them and let them plop out the end of the funnel when they turn 35 is not creating a sustainable business. So similar to what you're saying, if you're winning over people and they see the value of being with you throughout their whole life cycle because you're adding value to their life, and I think that's the important point. It's not just about stuff, it's about creating something that adds value to people. Then focusing on a Gen Y audience is really just about feeding your pipeline for lifetime customer value.